Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dima Svetov and I'm here to discuss my new blog post called The Age of the New Programmer. If you haven't read it on Medium, please go to the Medium website. The link will be below for that article. Have a read. I want to spark a conversation. This video is to complement that blog post, which I decided to do for all my blog posts going forward to see how that will hopefully set the stage where I'm coming from, where my mindset was, and what I was thinking about when I was writing it. It's very similar to a book I just discovered, The Death of Expertise. It's definitely on my reading list right now, by Tom Nichols. If you guys know about this book, that's great. Definitely seems to be highly recommended. Really interested in reading that after the fact when I was writing it. My blog post, I did not know about this book, but I will definitely be reading it shortly. So with that said, uh, what's my whole article is about is being an engineering manager. I have a lot of interviews that I do for different types of positions, and I go through a lot of resumes throughout my day. And I notice a lot of programmers, they put pretty much everything under the sun in their resume when applying to kind of any specific job. And a lot of times when I read those resumes that have listed every technology, every language, is that to me it immediately makes creates the person's identity as if he knows a little bit about everything but a lot about nothing. And that's a very important topic that I wanted to cover about this is that yes, right now the new technologies, it's very easy to use. You can pretty much open Stack Overflow and immediately kind of copy paste it into your solution, and chances are it will work. But a lot of programmers don't know how it works under the hood. They don't understand the complexity that they're creating for the projects. And in most cases, it's not going to be an issue for the project. But there's definitely cases where it will start hurting the project in terms of the speed. There might be optimizations issues that we'll have to figure out how to speed up the project, or communication between items, or even fixing aiding features. And this is very important to discuss because it seems like a trend that's happening right now in engineering in general, where a lot of people kind of lost that expertise. They no longer want to be an expert in one thing. They want to know a little bit about everything. And there's definitely positions for those guys. Kind of fix small things here and there, jump from project to project, be very adaptable. That's really good quality. But you do want to always have this at least one expert per platform in every company that will be responsible for that platform, will be responsible for that project to make sure no garbage code goes in, no spaghetti code, no just copy paste from the Stack Overflow when it makes no sense. And I really encourage you guys to the new kind of the new programmer, the new age programmers, to really understand what happens under the hood of any system, understanding how it works and why it works this way. Because a lot of those systems, a lot of those OSs, they came uh, to fruition because of different setbacks or different issues that they had before. So there's a reason certain APIs exist. There's a reason for certain approaches. But if you misuse them, you actually create more headache for yourself. You create slower applications, and you create a really expensive applications. And expensive, I mean, yes, right now you can make a Node.js server, dump it on AWS, and that's it. It's running. If suddenly you have a million customers coming in, the price for processing will go up, and you'll probably just offset it with the clients that you have. And it seems all reasonable and good, but you could actually look under the hood, see how it works, and maybe optimize certain things that you actually pay less for those things. There's less downtime when the downtime happens. I mean, we've seen everywhere right now, big companies, they struggle with a lot of downtime. Recently, the signal went down for 24 hours, for example. Those companies struggle with that exact thing, is because we have less and less experts understanding what is happening under the hood. So when things go wrong, it takes a while to fix them. Uh, we always, how many people struggle with GitHub going down or Jira going down? Once that happens, suddenly half of the world stops working, or Slack goes down, right? So what I'm encouraging you guys is, when you using any language, is not just use it, but understand how it works under the hood. Investigate it, play around with it, understand its shortcomings, and this is very important. The shortcomings of every language will have that. Uh, every language will have its own APIs that potentially can be misused in a way of generating more bugs. There's famous issues with C, for example, where division of double digits will of doubles, sorry, it will generate an error every time, a minor error. So if you multiply that division by, let's say, 1,000 or 10,000 times, suddenly you're actually missing a few numbers here and there, and that error will start escalating and escalating, and eventually can lead to even more issues in the process. So I really encourage you guys to, yes, it's great to have knowledge about all the different types of technologies and what they're good for, and there is no way to be an expert in everything at once. I'm sure there's very smart people out there that know a lot of things and understand a lot of things, but just the volume of new APIs, new SDKs, new platforms that coming out in new languages, it's basically almost impossible to be expert in everything, and you don't need to be. I really recommend picking something that you really like, and focusing on that, focusing to the point where you really understand how it works under the hood. You really can make smart decisions when creating your algorithms to make sure they're very quick, they execute as best as possible, but you also understand when something doesn't execute, why it doesn't execute. There is definitely possibilities where a language cannot execute any faster, just because maybe it's not a low level language. And that's fine. A lot of times we don't need something to be executed too fast. The user can only click that fast on the button. So if your algorithm executes faster than that, that should be okay. When it's a client-side application, when it's a server-side application, yes, you can probably throw more hardware at it, and hardware is cheap now, so that will solve the problem in a short term, but in the long term, it might generate more issues. So there are possibilities that your language will not support some of the requirements in the long run. Understanding them, you can actually prevent that from happening in the future, because you can actually prepare that if you have a million users hitting your server per second, uh, then you will run into some issues with the current setup. Knowing that ahead of time, when you only have, let's say, 10,000 people hitting a server, will really benefit you in the long run, and benefit the company. If you're working for yourself or working for a big corporation, you can actually prevent it, and definitely progress your career, having knowledge that you have limitations in whatever language. Never assume that just because the language you're expert in cannot support something, and you go to your boss and say, we're going to have a problem when we hit this, they're going to be like, okay, we're just switching the platform altogether. Chances are they're not going to do that. Opposite, you become an expert. You just identify shortcoming, and that will be valued by the company, and they'll try to keep you as long as possible to make sure that you can direct them to the right approaches. So that's where I'm coming from. This is what the article is about, is really suggesting to focusing your efforts and focusing your vision onto a specific platform, specific language. You can always switch later on. Really, the amount of educational material there is out there on YouTube, on Udemy, on Skillshare, and other platforms are enormous. And within, if you understand the concepts of programming, learning a new language is literally just learning a syntax. Most things don't really change, and so with that said, if you focus on one thing and you decide a year later you don't want to do that, focus on another thing. That shouldn't be a problem. It's all about, if you're motivated enough and you really like something new that's coming out, maybe you decide you like Flutter now and you never learned Dart. Really easy. Jump in, see how it is, run a few tests, make some POCs, and suddenly you are an expert in that too. But focus on it. Focus to make understand that you understand how it works under the hood, what's its benefits and what's its shortcomings. And it's very, very important to know the shortcomings of any language. Otherwise, you're not an expert. Otherwise, you just know the surface. You know how to use it, but you have no clue how to optimize it. You have no clue how to make the most out of it. And with that, thank you again for joining me. I look forward to your comments and look forward to making more blog posts and more videos and interact with you. Thanks a lot.